Well, it's day 2 in Boston, and we're back at the Riverside train station. We're going to ride into town, and we're going to walk what's called the Freedom Trail today. It's a 2.5 mile trail that takes you through some historic sites that had a lot of significance during the Revolutionary War period. To travel back to revolutionary Boston to understand the people, the events, and the ideals of the 1700s is a great leap for us today. But the sights along the 2.5 mile route of the Freedom Trail speak eloquently of that time. The Freedom Trail begins at Boston Common, established in 1634, making it the nation's oldest public park. So that was the Massachusetts State House. It was originally, the dome was covered in wood, and then Paul Revere covered it in copper, and now I believe it's covered in gold? Yeah, gold. The hymn America, which starts with My Country 'Tis of Thee, was first sung here at this church. Also, abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison gave his first anti-slavery speech here in 1829. This is a very famous burial ground called the Granary Burying Ground. Some very famous people are buried here, such as John Hancock, Samuel Adams, all 5 of the Boston Massacre victims are here. Benjamin Franklin's parents are here. Paul Revere is here. So we're going to walk around and check out the cemetery. Paul Revere. Here is the grave of John Hancock. He was a prominent patriot of the American Revolution and is remembered for his large, stylish signature on the Declaration of Independence, so much that the term John Hancock has become synonymous in the United States for one signature. This is the King's Chapel burying ground, and Mary Chilton, the first woman to step off the Mayflower, is buried here. John Winthrop, the first governor of Massachusetts. William Dawes Jr., the first messenger sent by Warren from Boston to Lexington to warn Hancock and Adams of the coming of the British troops, April of 1775. Built in 1729 as a Puritan house of worship, the Old South Meeting House was the largest building in colonial Boston. At an overflow meeting on December 16, 1773, Patriot Samuel Adams launched the Boston Tea Party.
Heads up, bayonet! Charge, bayonet! What's up? Recover, bayonet!
Built in 1713, this historic landmark was the seat of colonial and state governments. A cobblestone circle under its balcony marks the site of the 1770 Boston Massacre, when British soldiers fired into a crowd of Bostonians. Town meetings held here between 1764 and 1774 heard Samuel Adams and others lead cries of protest against the imposition of taxes on the colonies. Frederick Douglass, William Lloyd Garrison, and Lucy Stone brought their struggles for freedom here in the 1800s.
We're in Quincy's Market. It has all kinds of pastries and ice cream and food. And of course, being Italian, I had to get a cannoli.
Ye Old Union Oyster House, established 1826. Supposedly the oldest restaurant in America. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow memorialized Old Norse role at the start of the Revolutionary War in his poem, The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. On the night of April 18, 1775, Sexton Robert Newman hung 2 lanterns in a steeple to warn Charlestown patriots of advancing British soldiers. Home of the Celtics. After the Revolution, citizens proved their willingness to defend their newfound freedom and economic independence by developing and supporting a navy. From 1800 to 1974, Charlestown Navy Yard built, repaired, and outfitted U.S. naval vessels. Today, the yard is home to the USS Constitution, the oldest commissioned warship afloat in the world. The USS Cass and Young, retrofitted and modernized in the yard's dry dock, represents the type of ship built here during World War II. The USS Cass and Young, a Fletcher-class destroyer built in San Pedro, California, was commissioned on December 31st, 1943.
How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you? The ship honors Captain Casson Young, who earned the Medal of Honor at Pearl Harbor and later died in the Battle of Guadalcanal. This vessel logged nearly 150,000 miles in the Pacific in World War II. While on radar at Okinawa, the ship sustained 2 kamikaze hits, leaving 127 Americans dead or wounded. The USS Casson Young again served in the Korean conflict, and during the 1950s visited the Charlestown Navy Yard 4 times for modernization and repair. Our last stop on the trail is the 221-foot Bunker Hill Monument, dedicated in 1843. It commemorates the Revolution's first major battle.
Here, you want the roast or you pass the water?
How was
Of
it
you.
fine?
We
What? 294 steps. Yes. We did it.
Good morning. We just made the drive in from Sturbridge, Massachusetts, about an hour to the east into Boston. Today's our 3rd day in a row making that drive into the city. And today we are visiting the JFK, what's it called, Library and Museum.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be very nice. And we're going to meet the Cottrells and their friends here shortly and spend the morning visiting the museum. Looking forward to it. How are you?
May be found next to the first exhibit, theater lobby, and photo gallery.
Administration with that of the previous administration, that then there was a total growth of 11%.
For Nixon, he's leading in states that would give him 173. The guy at the data center, Howard K. Smith. Now let's take a look around the country from watch these returns. First, let's go to Hyannisport, Massachusetts, the Kennedy headquarters tonight, and Charles von Frank.
Racial conflict and the inability of our...
Well, I would think that probably unless we change, probably best we can do.
Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas, the first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.